Howdy, and welcome back to Gale FFTCG. I'm Serah, your host, and today we will be looking at my favorite cards for fire in this opus, one for each rarity, so common, rare, heroic, and legendary. And without further ado, let's just go straight in. We've got Bahamut, 4 CP. Before paying the cost to cast Bahamut, we can pay a crystal. To reduce the cost required to cast Bahamut by 2, we choose a fort and deal it 9k. This is just straight up awesome. Anything that reduces cost for something that's almost effectively free is great. On top of that, this is only 4 CP, so we could be running Masheries to make it 3. 4 CP seems a bit steep for 9, but when this is 3 CP deal 9k to something, it becomes infinitely stronger, and I really like that. Not much more to say here. It's a decent removal spell. And depending on how much crystals you can generate and things, this could become really deadly in the late game, potentially even in the early game. Obviously, we've not really had a lot of time to playtest this, so these are just my initial thoughts, but I really like this card. Up next, in a rare slot, we have Vargas, and I think it was last Opus, they had a 4 CP Cloud. The 4 CP Cloud was super duper cool. Unfortunately, it kind of fell upon the issue of Bismarck being able to tap things and kind of just break to wind. It wanted to be even better than it was, and it's a very good card. I'm playing it in my FF7 type decks. It is good, but Vargas represents something being even better. 3 CP, 7k, category 6 if that's relevant. It's also Monk, which is very relevant because last Opus we obviously had the Ursula decks running around. When a forward other than Vargas is put from the field into the break zone, Vargas gains plus 3k until end of turn. When Vargas attacks, we choose one forward opponent controls. If Vargas has 10,000 power or more, we activate that forward, and it gains, if possible, this forward must block until end of turn. So it solves the problem that was presented by Bismarck, unless you're playing against Bismarck, because it can just duel again and it's kind of lame. But anything that basically had a way of going, no, I'm going to tap in response, now Vargas forces it to block, regardless of what is going on. And I really like that. I like how easy it is in a Monk deck to sacrifice one of your forwards. Maybe it's like the 5 CP Monk that's reduced by 1 to suddenly give Vargas like an absolute power boost. You can combat trick this as well. So you swing, you target one thing to activate it, and then you go, okay, I'm also going to be bigger. And like, that's just really cool. So yeah, I really love this card. I think it's just fun. It's a cool design space that they haven't explored so much in this game, and I'm all about that unique design aspect. In our heroic slot is a card that doesn't seem initially great. 6 CP Ferris, 8k, is a pirate and a warrior of light, which is kind of cool. Means it's a bit searchable. When Ferris enters the field, we choose up to 2 forwards in our break zone, and if the total of their power is 3k, we play them on the field. It has to be 3k exactly, but we can choose up to 2. So this is very much a swarm type of deck. I haven't had a good chance to look at like kind of what the best ones are for this, but I know some people were talking about 2 CP Zidane the hero, and we also have in fire, and 1 CP Leo for color fixing and random stuff like that. Being able to get potentially 3 bodies for 6 CP is actually pretty decent. It's even better when we read the special ability Pirate Storm. So we can pitch a copy of Ferris and pay 1 fire, choose any number of forwards, and we deal them a total amount of damage equal to 5k multiplied by each forward of cost 3 or less we control. And we split them as we choose. So basically, with, say, like, maybe we're playing this with Vikings or something, we can potentially deal like 15k worth of damage, just straight up. Even 10k worth of damage is really good. And since we can divide it as we want, this can become potentially a massive board wipe against things like, again, Vikings, or like really aggro decks that want to have small bodies to kind of rush out our opponent. This is a good counter, or is a good counter to that sort of thing. So yeah, I feel like while this card doesn't read well, it's going to be so much better over time. I think as we see maybe cards decreasing in power but having more valuable effects, I think Ferris is certainly a card to keep an eye out on. And last, but certainly not least, I talked about this in my water set review, we have the EXP Palum. The reason I call it that is because at the end of each of your turns, you put an EXP counter on job Apprentice Mage that you control. And basically what that does for you is Palum and Porum, basically, if you have both on the field, they start getting really big really fast. So for each EXP counter placed on Palum, similar to Porum, Palum gains plus 1k. So if you leave these two unchecked again, you're going to just buff them so much faster. And that is such a cool mechanic. I think it's fun that they basically use a bit of flavor here where the twins are learning from each other and they get better and better and better. That's just really cool to me. You have the activated ability to choose one forward and deal it 2k. So it's a 2k ping. Nothing to write home about, really. But if there are 3 or more EXP counters placed on Palum, you deal it 8k damage instead. And you can only use the ability once per turn, just like his sister Porum. But I really love this. I love the flavor. Again, the 8k ping isn't as powerful as like negating something's abilities, but like it's still pretty decent. I think these type of decks will at least be around for a while. I don't think this card is half as splashable as the other Porum is, but I think it's still a very, very good card. And I think this is definitely another one to watch. But yeah, thank you for watching the full Opus 15 set reveal, where I go through all of the rarities and pick out my favorites. Oh, there's my dog in the background. It means an absolute ton to me that you guys are following and enjoying these videos, and that you are, just supporting the channel in general. Have a great Opus, and hopefully your pre-releases will be awesome. But yeah, thanks.